Okay, this is my model video for my chosen vocabulary strategy, and I got the crumple and shoot vocab strategy, and hopefully this is good foreshadowing as he's shooting a basketball. So what is crumple and shoot? Crumple and shoot is a group game, as you can see by my little picture with the Minnesota Wild, Minnesota Twins, Minnesota Vikings, and Minnesota Lynx. It's a group game. You separate students and give them each a set of papers. And then with those papers are what they're going to write their answers on for the game. They give the answers on the paper. Papers are shown to the teacher. So usually the teacher, the video I watched to learn about the game, gives like a 10 to 30 second timer for the groups to write down their answer. The groups work together. And then once the timer is up, the papers are shown to the teachers. And if the paper is correct, they come to the little line that can be anywhere in the room, and they get to try to shoot their paper thing into the garbage can. And then if the paper is made, the point is given. So there were two different ways you could do this. You could either just do it based on a point system if they make it, or you could say, okay, well, you got it all right, but like maybe you don't have an athletic kid that's shooting a paper ball into a garbage can. Why should you get, hurt for that and not rewarded for it, even though you got the answer right, which is the most important thing. So you could do it either way. It doesn't, it's just kind of teacher preference at that point. But that is a majority of what crumple and shoot is. And this, like the video I watched, it had teams of 4, but you could do it in teams of 5. You could make a couple other teams and have like 6 teams of 3. Doesn't really matter, just as long as you rotate to make sure everyone gets a chance to shoot, and then you can move this line anywhere in the room as well. It doesn't have to be like right next to the garbage can, and I'll have an example of that later. So my first example with some of my vocab words that I use for the password thing. So one of the vocab words I had was acquisition. And so let's say the Wild said to gain land, the Twins said to get something, Vikings say to obtain land, the Lynx response is to receive objects. And so each of them get it right. That is all some form of acquisition. And so then they all make it into the trash. They all come up to the line. Each person comes up, shoot. And so I have the score tied at 1 going into the second round. And so then I use a tier 3 word for the next example. And that's the Homestead Act. And the Wild say land given if farmed. The Twins' response is to get paid to stay at home. Vikings' response is forcible removal of Indians in Oklahoma, and the Lynx response is Western land given to farmers. And so I would say the Wild and Lynx got this right. The Vikings use a different vocab word, and the Twins were nowhere close. So then the Wild and Lynx get to come up and shoot at this line, which is a little further back in the classroom. It's a little harder. And the Lynx make it, but the Wild don't. So then the score would be the Lynx have 2, Wild have 1 because they didn't make that second one, and then the Twins and Vikings still have 1, even though they didn't get a chance to shoot because they made one from the last round. So the Lynx would be winning 2 to 1 to 1 to 1. And then you would continue with the rest of the vocab words that we used earlier in the week. And so that is the crumble and shoot vocab strategy.